I'm Rachel, 29, staring at the bank statement that shows my inheritance account drained to zero. Across from me, Linda, my mother-in-law, pushes my late father's company badge toward my sister-in-law with a smug smile. The company needs a proper leader, she says, her words cutting like glass. But Linda doesn't know about the secret account my father left me. I should have seen this coming. The signs were there from the moment I married Michael 5 years ago. Linda had always treated our family company, the $50 million tech empire my dad built from scratch, like it was her personal fiefdom. Rachel, darling, Linda's voice drips with condescension. Your father was a visionary, but his judgment wasn't what it used to be. Putting you in charge of the company's finances, you can't even manage your own budget. I dig my nails into the armrest, willing myself to stay calm. Across the sleek mahogany table, Jessica, my sister-in-law, sits preening in a tailored power suit that screams CEO. The same Jessica who ran her boutique into bankruptcy just last year. The board agrees. Linda continues, sliding a legal document across the table. Your father's succession plan was flawed. Thankfully, we've corrected it. My mind races. This started the moment Dad's casket hit the ground. The closed-door board meeting I wasn't invited to. The routine audit that locked me out of the system. And now this. This is illegal, I say, forcing steel into my voice. Dad left me controlling interest in the company. I have the paperwork. Had the paperwork, Jessica interrupts, her smirk razor sharp. Funny how things disappeared during office renovations, isn't it? The renovations. Last weekend, while I was at Dad's lake house sorting through his belongings, Linda insisted on modernizing the executive floor. A convenient excuse to box up my office after the flood from a conveniently broken water cooler. Don't be dramatic, Linda says, patting my hand like I'm a child. We're family. We never leave you out in the cold. You'll keep your job in accounts payable. It's where you belong. My phone buzzes in my pocket. A text from Marcus, Dad's old lawyer. Don't sign anything. Check your email immediately. I need time to review these, I say, rising from the chair. The board meets in an hour, Linda snaps, her mask of civility slipping. This will be resolved today. As I head for the door, Jessica's voice cuts through the air. Oh, Rachel, we'll need the keys to Dad's estate. As CEO, I'll be moving in. I pause, my grip tightening around the doorframe. Dad's voice echoes in my mind. Remember the chess player who always won. Sometimes you lose a few pieces to win the game. What Linda and Jessica don't know is that Dad didn't just teach me accounting, he taught me how to think 3 moves ahead. I step into the elevator, my fingers curling around the small silver key Dad slipped me just before he died. The safety deposit box, he had whispered. First National Bank, box 2317. When the time comes, you'll know what to do. The time has come. The safety deposit box at First National Bank feels heavier than it should in my hands. My fingers tremble slightly as I insert Dad's key, his voice echoing in my mind. In business, Rachel, always have a backup plan for your backup plan. Inside, I find a sealed envelope, a USB drive, and a small leather notebook. But what freezes me in place is a handwritten letter, dated 3 days before Dad passed. ***, my dearest Rachel. If you're reading this, Linda has made her move. She never forgave me for naming you my successor instead of Jessica. The $2 million she stole, that was bait. The real inheritance is in the Cayman Islands account, details in the encrypted files on this drive. But more importantly, check the security footage from my home office for the past month. Linda and Jessica have been having some interesting midnight meetings. Love, Dad, ***. My phone buzzes again, another text from Marcus. Linda called an emergency board meeting for 3 p.m. Also, your husband's been asking questions about the company's offshore accounts. Michael, my stomach twists. How deep does this betrayal run? I plug the USB drive into my laptop, my fingers moving automatically to type the password I've known since childhood, the name of Dad's first company. Files flood the screen. Bank statements, recordings, emails, and a folder labeled insurance. Oh my God, I whisper, scrolling through document after damning document. Linda and Jessica hadn't just stolen my inheritance. They'd been embezzling company funds for years. And Dad, brilliant as ever, had been collecting evidence the whole time. A security camera alert pings on my phone. movement detected in Dad's home office. Pulling up the live feed, I watch as Jessica rifles through the desk drawers while Linda keeps watch by the door. It has to be here somewhere, Jessica hisses, her movements frantic. The old man must have kept records of the Cayman accounts. Linda's voice is sharp. Keep looking. Once we find those accounts, we can transfer everything before the little princess figures it out. Michael says she hasn't checked her father's safety deposit box yet. My husband. My throat tightens. He's been in on this too. I start recording the live feed, my hands steady now. On the screen, Jessica pulls open a drawer with a triumphant grin. There, she says, holding up a folder. Proof Rachel's been stealing from the company. Once I forge her signature on these documents, it'll look airtight. I've seen enough. I dial Marcus, barely waiting for him to answer. Rachel, he says quickly, please tell me you've got something. Oh, I have everything. I reply, my eyes locked on the feed as Linda and Jessica walk out of Dad's office with the stolen documents. Dad knew this was coming. He left a trail of breadcrumbs, and they just walked straight into his trap. The board meeting's in 2 hours, Marcus reminds me. Perfect, I say, downloading the final files. That's all the time I need. Call Agent Sanders at the FBI. Dad apparently had several chats with her about potential corporate fraud. And Marcus? Make sure every board member is there. They won't want to miss this. As I gather the evidence, Dad's voice comes to me again. His favorite piece of advice. The best revenge isn't served cold, sweetheart. It's served with irrefutable proof and federal witnesses. Linda and Jessica wanted to play chess. Fine, but they forgot one crucial detail. I was trained by the Grandmaster. The conference room hums with quiet tension as the board members settle in. At the head of the table, Linda sits with a calculated air of authority, Jessica smugly seated to her right. Michael stands awkwardly near the door, avoiding my eyes. His guilt is written all over his face, and for a brief moment I almost laugh. Almost. Linda rises, her voice ringing out. Before we begin, I'd like to thank you all for attending this emergency meeting. We are here to discuss Rachel's questionable fitness to lead this company. Actually, I cut in, stepping into the room with Marcus and 2 FBI agents flanking me. We're here to address corporate fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. The color drains from Linda's face. Jessica's smirk falters, freezing in place. What is this nonsense? Linda demands, though her voice wavers. I set my laptop down, connecting it to the projector with deliberate calm. Let's start with something straightforward, last night's security footage. You'll find it enlightening, especially the part where you discuss forging my signature. The room goes silent as the video begins to play. Linda's and Jessica's voices echo through the room, crystal clear, outlining their scheme to frame me, their theft of company funds, and their partnership with Michael. This is doctored. Jessica sputters, her confidence crumbling. Like you doctored these? I ask, sliding the stolen folder across the table. You might recognize these documents from my father's office, the ones you plan to use to frame me. By the way, Dad installed cameras everywhere after catching you trying to hack his computer last year. Linda stands abruptly, her face flushed with anger. This is preposterous. I am the acting CEO. Actually, Marcus interjects smoothly, you're not. The board vote last week is invalid because you failed to notify all shareholders, specifically the majority shareholder. I pull another document from my briefcase, my voice steady. You see, Linda, that $2 million you stole. Dad knew you'd try something like this. It was bait. Meanwhile, he quietly transferred controlling interest to an offshore holding company, one that I've owned since my 25th birthday. The FBI agent steps forward, her voice firm. Mrs. Walker, Miss Walker, we have a warrant to seize all company computers and financial records. We also have evidence of wire fraud across state lines. Linda stares at me, her power slipping through her fingers. Michael, she whispers desperately, tell them. But Michael doesn't move. He just stands there, caught in a spotlight of his own betrayal. Rachel, I can explain, he starts, his voice thin. Save it for your lawyer. I cut him off coldly. Oh, and Michael, consider this notice. I'll be filing for divorce. The next hour is a blur. FBI agents swarm the building, confiscating files and computers. Handcuffs click as Linda and Jessica are escorted out, their protests growing weaker with every step. Jessica's expensive suit looks far less impressive as she's led away, and Linda's once commanding presence dissolves into frantic pleas. Later, I sit in Dad's old office, my office now. The leather notebook he left me lies open on the desk. On the final page, his handwriting is firm and deliberate. Remember, sweetheart, success isn't just about making money. It's about seeing the whole board and having the courage to make the hard moves when it counts. I look out over the city skyline, thinking of everything Dad taught me. Linda and Jessica thought they were playing chess, but they never understood the most important rule. Before you go after the king, make sure you've accounted for all the pieces. The company is safe now. Dad made sure of that. And as for the $2 million they stole, consider it the cost of unmasking their schemes. Sometimes, losing a battle wins you the war. My phone buzzes, a text from Marcus. Board approve your reorganization plan. Everyone's behind you now. I smile to myself, the weight of the past weeks finally beginning to lift. Dad's final lesson echoes in my mind. The best leaders don't just survive attempts to destroy them. They use those attempts to become stronger. Looking out at the city below, I murmur, "Checkmate, Linda. This one's for you, Dad."